looks like, okay, it's okay, you're recording. I thought you were not recording.
I was not recording, but I've started recording. So first, you need to open your ENSP after installing it. When you're done installing it, I can close it out. And then we create a loopback adapter. This is how you create a loopback adapter. You go to your control panel. From your control panel, you look for internet and network. And then from internet and network, you go ahead and look for, I think, where is it? You look for, let me see. Okay, change adapter settings. Okay, yes. So you go to sharing and network center, then you go to adapter settings. Or you can just right click on your network connection, then go to more internet settings. When your settings come up, you go to change adapter options, and then it will pop up this dialog box. Now, this one will show you the number of adapters you have. This kind of adapter will not be there at the moment. So how do you add it there? What you do, you open your run window or dialog box. You can do that by pressing Windows and R button, or you can just go to your start menu and type in run. When you type in run, you go and open this guy. So what you're looking for, we want to run this command, the hardware wizard. You type in HDW, meaning for hardware, HDW, and then wizard, right? HDW and then wizard. So hardware wizard, HD wiz, and then you click on OK. When you click on OK, to ask you, do you want to allow this app to make changes to your devices? You say yes. When you say yes, it will bring up this dialog box. Let me just minimize everything else so that the area of focus is on. Okay. All right. So when you click, it's going to bring this dialog box. So you press on next. When you press on next, it will ask you search for what recommended. In this case, we want to install it manually. So you say, I want to install the hardware manually. What do we want to install? A network adapter. So you scroll down and you look for a network adapter or network adapters, which is right here. You look for it. And after seeing it, you go ahead and press next. When you press next, it's going to bring quite a number of things, but we're looking for the Microsoft. We're looking for the Microsoft loopback adapter. So we click on Microsoft, and then we look for our KM test loopback adapter. This one, right? So after selecting it, we go ahead and press next. When you press next, the adapter will be created. If you notice, these are the adapters which I have for now. Let me just go ahead and create this adapter. So it will go ahead and it will create the adapter, and then I create finish. When I come back to my adapters, you will see I have another external adapter right here, right? I have Ethernet 2 adapter. For the purposes, I can go ahead and rename it so that I know that I've created this adapter to use it for ENSP. Since I already created one for ENSP, I'm going to go ahead and name it test. I'll just rename it test, right? After renaming it to test, I'm going to go and right click on it and go to its properties, because what I want to do now, I want to assign it an IP address. So I'll come to my my IPv4 properties, and then I'm going to come to use the following IP address, and then which address should I assign it? I'm going to assign it 192.168.0. any other IP in that range. It could be 10, it could be 5, it could be 6, it could be 8, anything, but as long as it's within this same network segment. Why? Because when you come here to our ENSP, when we come back to our ENSP, by default, like the notes stipulate, let me open here, our default IP address for our server is 192.168.0. It's our default management IP address for our firewall. So meaning it's on this network, right? Of network.0.1. So I can go ahead and assign it anything else apart from that, right? So even when I open my ENSP and I go ahead and launch my firewall. Oh, I should have started it a bit earlier because it takes some time to start up. But I go ahead and launch my firewall and I want to check its IP address. So it will start. As it starts, let me just go ahead and let me just go ahead and continue with setting up my HPV4. So I'm going to give it any IP address. Maybe now I can give it .15, right? But you need to remember that this is the IP address which you have given it. Now the subnet mask, because it is class C, we are going to give it 255.255.255.0, and the default gateway will be the gateway for our firewall, the IP address in our firewall. So I'm going to say 192.168.0.1. That is our default gateway. And then I'll go ahead and say, okay. Warning, multiple default gateways are intended to provide redundancy on a simple network. It's saying this because I already have, you want to save this configuration? I already have a adapter I created already, but if you don't have, you go ahead and say, okay, and the adapter will be created and it will have that different configuration. Let me go ahead and delete this. Let me go ahead and disable it, and then I'll go ahead and I'll delete it later on. I'll remove
Mr.
it.
Ssendi,
Yes,
you left
please.
me at Windows R.
I left you at Windows R. When
Yes.
you press Windows R, type in HD Wiz. When you type in HD Wiz, press OK, and it will bring up this dialog box. When it brings up this dialog box, press next. When it presses next, go to install hardware that I manually select and
Sorry,
select that
Mr.
option.
Ssendi, a minute. Sorry. HD Wiz, you spell that HD?
HDW Wiz. I beg that you
IZ.
follow along. Yes, I beg that you follow along so that this
Okay.
recording is not prolonged.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, HDW Wiz for hardware wizard. HDW, then Wiz. There are two W's in between there. HD Wiz, right? And then you press OK. Or you can just open your device manager, go to your device manager. After it loading, you go to file. I think it's, is it where do we, somewhere. You go ahead and add the adapter, network adapters. There's somewhere, I've forgotten, but I'll show you how to. But that is the best, easiest way to add devices, yes. You
So
go,
I
you come
installed
here
the
and then
hardware.
you say add legacy. So you go to device manager, go to action, then add legacy hardware, and then this dialog box will come. So you go to add hardware. We are looking for network adapter because we want to add a network adapter. Select the network adapter, go ahead and look for Microsoft. In the manufacturer, look for Microsoft. From Microsoft, scroll down and we look for Microsoft text loopback adapter, right? And then after you press next, and then it will add the adapter in your adapter configuration settings. It will be added here. Okay. So after doing that and assigning an IP address, so here we have added our firewall. The default username is admin, and the default password is admin with a capital A at 123. Admin, capital A at 123. So when you hit enter, it asks us, do you want to change the password? We say yes. I enter the old password, which is admin at 123. I hit enter, and then I put in a new password. In this case, I'm going to put in HCIA 123 and enter, and then I put in HCIA 123, and then I hit enter. Oh, length must be at least, okay. Do you want to change the password now? I say yes. So enter the old password, it is admin at 123. Enter new password, HCIA at 123, HCIA at 123. So I enter. So if I wanted to check and see display IP interface brief, I'll be able to see even minus making any configuration because this is a new firewall. I've just added it there. You'll see that by default on our management interface of 000, I have an IP assigned already to it with a //24 in our class C range. You see already I have that IP address, and that's why I'm assigning it the other side as my default gateway. Okay, I hope that is clear. So after that, and I pressed OK, this is what I'm going to do next. So I'm going to come back to my ENSP after creating. I'm going to come back to my ENSP. I have my firewall app. Now I'm going to have my cloud app, but now I need to configure my cloud, right? After creating the adapter, it's better you restart your machine. Sometimes if you don't restart, you won't be able to see the adapter. So after restarting, I come back to my machine and I want to make these different configurations. I put there the cloud. After putting the cloud, I go ahead and select gigabit Ethernet and select my adapter, which I've created. Remember which one I renamed. It's also important that you name it because when it comes here, it is easy for you to see that I created my ENSP with an IP of 192.168.0.10. This is my loopback adapter with this IP address. So I go ahead and select it. After selecting it, I go ahead and I say add, right? I add it there. After adding it there, I also come back and select my UDP. After selecting my UDP, I go ahead and also add it. When I'm done adding these two, I'll come down here and change from Ethernet to Gigabit Ethernet, GE. So after selecting Ethernet Gigabit, make sure you come to the remote port number and you change it to 2. After changing it to 2, go ahead and select two-way channel. After selecting two-way channel, then you add it to our port mapping here. So it will map this. We'll see like have two port maps. So one is mapping to our ENSP, which is public, and the other is mapping to our internal, which is UDP. That is all you need to do. And after, you go ahead and close out that. Now you'll notice that when I come here and I connect my cloud, it will have this Ethernet port which I've created to it. I'll select it, and then I'll go and connect my firewall to, I'll connect my firewall with our management interface, which is 0/0. So I'll connect it, and you see that my link is up because I've already started my firewall. So in this case, actually I can open my computer now. I can open my command prompt and I can be able to ping my firewall. Who can tell me when I'm pinging the firewall, what am I going to use? Which IP address am I going to use? Anyone?
The default one.
Okay, which is?
The gateway. The gateway.
192.168.0.1. Yes. Guess what? I'm trying to ping it, but there's nothing. Who can tell me why? Who can guess? Because we have not permitted the ping command on our firewall, isn't it? So when it receives these packets, it's going to go ahead and discards them because I have not permitted me to send through, I have not permitted the firewall to pass through or to process the ping command. So I'm going to come back to my firewall here and I go to system view. And after entering the system view, I am going to go ahead and enter interface gigabit 0/0/0, our management port. Okay. Just a moment. Oh, yeah. I made a mistake. Gigabit Ethernet 0/0/0. And now I've entered my Ethernet and I'm going to permit it to process the packets. So I'm going to say service manage. Sorry, I spelled the word wrongly. Service manage ping permit. And then I've permitted ping. So when I come back here to check if my host is reachable and I ping, boom, already you're saying I'm getting reply packets from my firewall, isn't it? So let me also ask, Do you think I'll be able to access it? Let me first disable my my firewall because I can. Access it via the web browser. Anyone? Anyone? Okay, because we have not permitted HTTPS, right? So I'll come back to my firewall and I'll enter this gigabit Ethernet. I'm recording this video, so I'll be able to share it. So I'll come back here and I'll say service manage. Sorry.
What's going on here?
What's going on?
I think we'll need a more detailed, like step-by-step guide to help us configure this ENSP. If
I think
possible.
you'll watch the video and you try to configure it.
Okay.
Yes. You will watch the video. I'll share the video after. Okay. So then after you go on the interface of your firewall, because I've changed my network and I've played with my firewall. So I think that's why my firewall is acting up. But let me it and delete this. I'll go ahead and create a new firewall and go ahead and connect my copper to that and also connect to it. I'll go ahead and fire it up. Go ahead and fire it up and it starts. So the first steps as you are rewatching the video, as this firewall is starting up, go to your run prompt command, type in hdwiz after installing ENSP. Type in hdwiz, go here, add the adapter, follow the steps in the video to add the adapter. After adding the adapter, assign it with an IP address within the network range of .0, 192.168.0, any other IP which you would prefer. When you're done, come back to your ENSP, launch it, put there your cloud, put there your firewall. And when you're selecting, make sure you select our next generation firewall here. So when you're done, go ahead and start it. Go ahead and open the settings for your cloud. Just double click on the cloud. After double clicking on the cloud, select ENSP. After selecting ENSP, make sure the port type is a gigabit Ethernet. Go ahead and press on add. It will add it there. Go back, select UDP. Make sure the port is gigabit Ethernet. After, go ahead and add. When you add, select the UDP port you have added. Come back here, make sure on port mapping settings, you select gigabit Ethernet. Change the remote port number to 2. And then make sure you select a two-way channel and then you press add. When you add, you'll see there are 2 ports which are being mapped here, and then you can close out of that. Then you're able to start your firewall. So admin, and the default password is admin at 123. I'll go ahead and change the password. The old password is admin at 123. And then the new password will be HCIA at 123, HCIA at 123. So I've entered into my firewall. I'll enter into the system command so that I'm able to permit, I enter into Ethernet gigabit 000. Why? Because it's my management interface. So after entering into my gigabit, you'll see when it's highlighted here and it's selected. After entering that, I will now say service manage, and I want to create HTTP because I want to be able to access my firewall through the browser. I also enable HTTPS so that I'm also able to access my browser. Also, if I want to ping it, I'll first come here and I also enable my firewall to process the ping requests. So I've enabled it. Now, when I come back to my browser and I put in this is the 192.168.0.1, the default gateway to our server, sorry, to our firewall with this port, and it will take me to this page. Because now I've enabled it, that's why it's taking me to this page. Though I know it is safe, much as it's telling me it is safe, I know it is safe, so I just click on advanced and I say proceed to 192.168 because I know it's in my internal thingy and I know it is safe. I'll put in the default username, which is admin. And remember, I changed another password, and my password is now HCIA at 123. And then after that, I'll hit login, and then it will load, and boom, I'll be inside my firewall. Now, once you do that, most of the things in the slides are a bit straightforward. You'll be able to see the different network objects, the policies, how we configure policies on the firewall, and how we are able to monitor the dashboard. And ladies and gentlemen, this is the VRP on most of Huawei's firewalls. Much as it's a simulation, but when you actually also configure a live firewall, you have this kind of graphic user interface on a real firewall. So everything is more or less similar or the same the actual firewall. So this is how you are able to configure, and this is how you are able to access the firewall through the web browser. And we shall be focusing on that. There are quite a number of ways you can do that. You can also access it via SSH, or you can access it via telnet, via so many other options. But in this case, we're interested in the GUI and also accessing it via its command line, CLI. All right, so I think that will be enough. We'll stop the recording. I will post this recording immediately after the class. Kindly just go through it over and over again. Then we shall continue from there next time. So let us look at today's lecture notes and content.